Hi Graded. So in the second video now, what we're looking at is how do I actually calculate the distance on this map. We said in the first one that this map has South Africa been reduced to a nice small size so I can look at it. And I've kept the original outline and it still has the original shape. What we're doing today is we're trying to figure out what is the distance from Johannesburg to Durban in reality. You have to appreciate that Johannesburg to Durban is not that far. It's not that far. That's a bit stupid. So how far is it from Johannesburg to Durban using the information I've been given on this page? To do that, I have to use a formula. The formula you're going to see in your notes is scale times distance equals true distance. Scale times distance equals true distance. What that means is you need to take the scale of the map times that by the distance that you measure on the map to work out what the true distance would be if you're walking in reality. So I'm going to take the scale that's been given to me on the map, I'm going to times that by the distance I measure, and that's going to give me what the true distance would be from Johannesburg to Durban. Now, some guys like to abbreviate this formula and they'd write it as scale times distance equals true distance. You can abbreviate it. Another way of writing that would be distance times scale equals true distance. Some guys like to remember this as don't get an STD. Distance times scale equals true distance. Don't get an STD. To calculate the answer, you can appreciate I'm going to need two things. I'm going to need the distance and I'm going to need the scale. So let's try to figure out what those two units are. What's the distance now from Johannesburg to Durban? To work that out, I simply measure it. So you take out your ruler and you're going to measure from Johannesburg to Durban. Please remember that you need to measure from the middle of the dot to the middle of the dot, not from the label to the label. So you're measuring from the middle of the dot to the middle of the dot. Take note, I'm measuring in millimeters, because if I'm measuring in centimeters, it's not going to help me if it's in between 4 and 5. I want to know what the exact measurement is. So I suggest you measure in millimeters like I am. So line up, middle of the dot to the middle of the dot. And over here you might not see clearly, but that's 3.9 centimeters. I now know that my distance on the map is 3.9 centimeters. And I need to work out what the scale is, because distance times scale equals true distance. So what is the scale equal to? In the last video, I showed you that we can find a scale in three different ways. A word scale, a ratio scale, and a line scale. Looking at this map, I don't see a word scale. I don't see a ratio scale, but I do see this line scale over here. Remember I said to you that take your line scale and convert it into a ratio. How we do that again is you measure what 1 centimeter is equal to on the line scale. And what that will mean is you're converting your line scale into a ratio by saying what is 1 centimeter going to represent on this map. If I measure 1 centimeter, you can see it's lined up with 100 kilometers. So 1 centimeter is equal to 100 kilometers. And I simply substitute my values into my formula. Remember we said that distance times scale equals true distance. I've got my distance and I've got my scale. So the distance was 3.9. Scale, 1 centimeter represents 100 kilometers. I take whatever this number is into my formula. So I'm going to substitute 100 in. You can use a calculator if need be, but today I get 390. 390 what? Is that 390 centimeters or is it 390 kilometers? Remember my scale said 1 centimeter on the map represents 100 kilometers in reality. And I'm trying to work out what the distance is from Johannesburg to Durban in reality. So I'm going to use this value in kilometers. So that's 390 kilometers. Whatever my scale is equal to, I'll have the same unit value in my answer. If that's in meters, my answer is in meters. If that's in centimeters, my answer is in centimeters. So just to summarize again, the formula you're going to use is scale times distance equals true distance, or distance times scale equals true distance. Remember, don't get an STD. measure the distance on the map, then work out what the scale is. If the scale is given to you as a ratio, you can already write the ratio. If the scale is given to you in words, convert that again to a ratio, nice and simply. And if it's given to you as a line scale, work out what 1 centimeter is equal to by measuring it on the line scale with your ruler. Substitute your two values in. That's my distance times my scale, and you'll get an answer. Whatever your answer is in, remember to use the same unit as your scale. Hope this helps.